A phone rings. Trump picks up, listens, and slams it down. The fuse had been lit. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had just gone live on CNBC with a declaration that stunned global markets. Any country buying Russian oil through China would face 100% U.S. tariffs. No whispers, no closed-door meetings. A direct threat, loud, public, and unmistakable. But just 8 hours later, China fired back. Not with words, but with raw power. 5 massive hydroelectric dams in Tibet roared to life, sending over 300 million megawatt-hours of clean energy into China's grid, triple the output of the famed Three Gorges Dam, and more power than all of Poland's electric grid combined. It wasn't just a response. It was a statement. China isn't flinching. This isn't a trade war anymore. This is an energy war. And it's just getting started. The ultimatum that shook the world. Bessent's televised warning didn't just target Beijing. It was a global ultimatum. Countries like India, Germany, and even close U.S. allies in the G7 were suddenly caught in the crossfire, punished not just for trading with China, but for buying oil China bought from Russia. At its core, Bessent framed the oil-for-tech relationship as collusion. Crude goes into China. Chips, phones, and electronics come out, now tainted in the Treasury's eyes. And Bessent's next move? Push the G7 to cut ties with Chinese supply chains altogether. That means penalizing Europe for importing components that even touch Chinese infrastructure. China responds with power, not politics. Beijing didn't hold a press conference. Instead, it unleashed electricity. 5 newly completed hydro dams along the Yarlung-Tsangpo River, deep in Tibet, surged to life, generating power that now fuels China's factories, EV lines, and robotics production. According to Bloomberg, this hydro network alone produces nearly a third of all of Europe's wind and solar output. It's a silent super weapon in an age where computing, manufacturing, and national power all rely on one thing: cheap energy. And China isn't just keeping the lights on. It's supercharging its economy. In Q2 of 2025, China's GDP surged by 5.4%, outpacing every G7 nation. That growth wasn't driven by Wall Street, but by electricity, infrastructure, and state-backed innovation. The tariff trap back in Washington, Bessent's plan is expanding. The U.S. wants to shut down transshipment routes that China uses to bypass direct tariffs, routing goods through Vietnam, Mexico, even Canada to reach American shelves. The U.S. is threatening blanket tariffs on those countries too, unless they reject Chinese parts entirely. The risk? Global supply chains could unravel not with explosions, but with customs paperwork. If enacted, this policy could shave 2.1% off China's GDP. But there's a catch. It would also hit America's allies hard. Mexico, Japan, and South Korea, all vital U.S. partners, would be collateral damage. The paradoxes piling up. Here's the contradiction. Bessent claims to defend global order while issuing threats that destabilize it. The U.S. says it's punishing China, but the pain often lands at home. According to the Congressional Budget Office, Trump's earlier tariffs already cost American households billions. A 30% tax on Chinese goods might sound tough, but U.S. consumers foot most of that bill. It's a domestic tax, disguised as foreign policy. And it gets worse. Trump's latest tax plan adds $3.4 trillion to the U.S. deficit. Most of the cuts benefit corporations and top earners, while social safety nets like Medicaid and renewable energy incentives take the hit. By 2034, 10 million Americans could lose health coverage. The result? A country borrowing against its future to fund policies that hurt its present. China builds. The U.S. blames. While Washington imposes tariffs, Beijing builds turbines. In 2024 alone, China produced over 10,200 terawatt hours of electricity, more than double the U.S., per the International Energy Agency. And they're not slowing down. Massive solar projects in Xinjiang, nuclear expansion on the coast, and hydro megastructures in Tibet are transforming China into the world's cheapest industrial power hub by 2030. That's not just good for factories. It's rocket fuel for AI. NVIDIA's CEO Jensen Huang even visited Beijing in May 2025, signaling the U.S. chip giant's intent to remain in the world's largest AI market. Even under pressure. As one U.S. analyst told the Financial Times, China's not building a faster Ferrari. They're building 10 million slower ones. Scale, volume, energy. That's China's game now. Markets are betting on Beijing. Global markets see the shift. Since January, Chinese infrastructure stocks have surged 30 to 70%. Iron ore prices are climbing. Steel rebar futures just hit a 6-month high. Beijing's green energy stimulus is working, not just politically, but economically. Meanwhile, U.S. GDP shrank by 0.3% in Q1, with fears of a government shutdown looming and high interest rates cooling investment. Washington is reacting. China is planning. And the difference is showing. The bigger picture: Washington wants China to stop buying oil from regimes it can't fully block. It demands allies sever ties with the world's largest exporter. And it slaps sanctions while importing aluminum from nations skirting the same rules. It accuses Beijing of violating. It's a system of contradictions. And it may be backfiring. In trying to isolate China, the U.S. risks isolating itself. Allies are frustrated. Global trade is fragmenting. And China's energy advantage, not just its exports, is tipping the balance. This isn't just a policy debate anymore. It's a new world order forming in real time. An energy war dressed in trade clothes. While the West wages battles with tariffs, China powers forward, literally. What comes next? The world is watching. The future isn't being written in D.C. It's being built in factories powered by Tibetan dams and Xinjiang solar panels. China's not just dodging tariffs. It's reshaping the cost structure of global industry. As the West sanctions and debates, China installs turbines, builds AI factories, and surges past economic forecasts. The question isn't whether the U.S. can stop this shift. It's whether it's already too late. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're